Hello again. One of the things I want to talk about, is this idea of escape. And escape from what? Well, we can call it, say, authoritarianism, totalitarianism, which also has existed since time immemorial. And there are about 3 different types of escape from such brutish governments, tyrannical forms of government. The first form of escape is the bottom one, or the weakest one, and that's the backward escape. And what that entails is people that take to vice, sinful things, people that engage in drug addiction, alcoholism, any and all types of addictions, vices, etc. That is an escape mentally, psychologically, from the rigors and the pain of living in such a heavy, burdensome society. And that's the weak man's way out, because you're not really out, obviously, you're still dwelling and living amongst the mess, but you have, in a sense, checked yourself out mentally, psychologically, not wishing to deal with these issues. That's the backward escape, and it's very detrimental to your health, to your life, your relationships, family and friends. But and here in America, many people, millions, engage in that type of escape. You can also take that to mean the escape is also pertaining to, say, television. It used to be the idiot box. Now it's the internet, being constantly online, escaping from all of the rigors of life. So that's one escape. Another escape doesn't really have a name. You could kind of call it the lateral escape, even though it's not really parallel to this, because I'll get to that in a moment. But the next escape is basically just physically leaving the area that you're in. So say things are bad here in the US, and they are, and they're not going to improve. Not by my analysis. And so things are only going to get worse. Not even gradually, they seem to be speeding up. It's accelerating the worsening conditions. So the thing that somebody would do is to physically move and escape. And although at times that is a good idea, to say move from this country to another country, which I've done, or to just maybe another state, another community in the US that's not so burdensome, not so onerous with its regulations, with its laws, then you just move. That is an escape. But the problem with that escape at times is that the place you're going to, we've all heard the expression, the grass is greener on the other side. It might not be as green. It might deceptively look green. It's not really. And so, and who knows, the authoritarianism might visit you there in a different form, for sure, but it might actually visit you there as well, unless you move to some deserted South Pacific island in Oceania, or some mountain retreat, or live under the water. Moving out of it physically typically is a short-term fix, but long-term perhaps doesn't work so well. The third and final escape is the only one that is truly fruitful in the long term, and it's called the forward escape. You can almost call it the lateral escape, but it's because it literally means making a parallel society. But we'll call it the forward escape. And the forward escape looks like taking your ideas, taking your assets, your resources, your abilities, and creating a parallel society. I first had this idea during the COVID time, 6 years ago, in that if you perhaps had enough people who were accredited in this current society, whether they be doctors, lawyers, engineers, etc., and they had enough fortitude to withdraw from the society they're currently in and forge a new society, parallel to the one that exists, but like two train tracks, parallel, they never ever intersect. And so was it possible to make that? To me, that's the best method of escape from any kind of a totalitarian, authoritarian regime, government, people, etc., is to create a parallel structure. Now how is that best to be done? Now, as I said before, you draw as many people as you can of like mind, of like spirit, philosophy, etc., who are credentialed people and can make a society start from scratch. Consider it maybe like a commune. I don't want to give it that phrasing, but something to that effect. And you build from the ground up. I understand in some parts of the world, such as, say, if you were in North Korea or Turkmenistan, etc., you don't have that luxury to create an alternative society parallel to the one that is destroying you, robbing you. I get that. So in a way, I'm speaking mostly from a place where a country has some form of freedom within their republic, within their constitution, such as the U.S. did have at its founding. It's long since been abandoned. But that's the framework with which a person or the collective group of people have to work within to create that parallel society, the forward escape. And if you can't do that, then perhaps the physically moving is suitable. I mean, what is a life? 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, maybe 90? If you can escape moving somewhere that's peaceable enough, not controlling everything you do and say, and, fiscally is somewhat freer, then go do it. I mean, you only live for a few more years, right? Now, for posterity's sake, your children, you want to think of them as well if you have children, grandchildren, etc. But the forward escape, creating that parallel society, is something that takes fortitude, it takes tremendous effort, intelligence, and ability. But most of all, it takes courage, leaving what you once knew. Consider like the homesteaders, the pioneers in the 19th century, taking the Oregon Trail, or many of the trails that traversed the U.S. from east of the Mississippi River, west toward the mountains, the deserts, the plains. It took a lot of courage. As with this, also, it takes a lot of courage to make that forward escape, and the concerted effort amongst people that of like mind and spirit. Anyway, I don't hope for that in America. So honestly, for me personally, and I know I just railed against it a little bit, my escape is that going away, just moving away, because you got to maintain some kind of level of peace and security for yourself and your people. And I don't know if there is a country on this earth where you can do the forward escape. Maybe you can make your own country. Who knows? Let me know if any of you have made your own country, because I'm going to come. Hopefully I don't. Do I need a passport and a visa to go there? Let me know.